Hello, hello. Give me one moment. Hello, everyone. How is it going for everybody? Let's test the sound. If you can hear me, can you type loud and clear? Let's see. So are you watching from Singapore? Are you watching from overseas? Let us know where you are watching this from. And what time is it over at your place from where you are watching now? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Great. Okay, it's Monday, 17 August 2020. This is Eunice. I'm live from Singapore, right? I'm an entrepreneur and speaker, and I'm very excited to share today's topic with all of you. But before we begin, just let me know where you're watching this from. Are you watching from Singapore or watching from overseas? If you're watching from overseas, let me know which country are you from and what time is it over there. Are you working from home or are you watching it from your workspace? And if you're watching it from Singapore, are you on the way home or are you watching from home? Just give me a sign of what you're doing and all that, right? Okay, right. So some of you are, just finishing your dinner. What did you have for dinner? Let me see what's your favorite food, right? Really interestingly, right? We're a very interesting phenomenon. Just let me know, right? How many of you are the kind that you can have dinner on your own? Right? How many of you need companionship? If you can have on your own, right? Own. If you need companionship, you just put company, right? Okay. And how many of you are the kind that you can settle your food in 5 minutes? You can choose your whatever you want. You can decide what to eat within 5 minutes. How many of you are the kind that you get, after half an hour, you still can't decide what to eat, right? If you're the 5 minutes kind, type 5 minutes. If you are take a 30 minutes kind, just put 30 minutes, right? Okay, let's see who are the people who take a longer time to decide and who are the ones who take a very quick time to decide. Are you the kind to live to eat or you eat to live, right? And before we begin, right? So for those of you who are watching this for the first time, type 1. If you have watched me before, type repeat something, and then let me know that whether you're watching this for the first time or this is not is more than second time or more than that yet you have watched me, right? Okay, right. So for those of you who are new, this is Daily People Skills Facebook page and YouTube channel, right? So my name is Eunice Tan. I'm an entrepreneur and speaker, right? So for the past 10 years, I have started my business consultancy firm and helping people to set up their business and grow their businesses. And because I explained just so fast. Okay, so and during this journey, right, I realized that sometimes it takes more than just business skills. Yeah, and one of the very important skills to acquire is actually people skills. So this year, I set up a channel and embark on a new chapter to share with people on daily hacks on people skills where you can apply and some quick tips that you can apply, especially at your workplace. Because no matter what you do, right, you are always dealing with people. And many people think that people skills are it's about EQ, communication skills, and leadership skills. All these are good and it's all included. But people skills is more, it goes beyond that. It's about managing yourself before managing others, right? So a lot of the skills I share with is actually, you will find that it's very different from what other people are sharing as well. Right. So today I'm going to share with you something very, very different. Something very, it's for discussion as well. Right. So without further ado, I like to start on time. Let's start. And let me share my slide. Okay, right. So today's topic, as you have known from the title, is be a glue-like person, right? So but the good kind of glue. So some of you might be thinking, right, what kind of glue and all those things. So let me explain, right? Okay, so whenever we talk about glue-like person, we always talk about the bad kind of glue, right? And what is the bad kind of glue, right? Right? We always think about like being sticky, being needy, and being, especially it's basically used at the wrong place at the wrong time. When the glue got onto the table, it's really sticky, and it's really messy, and the kind of people that stick to you, it's just it's just intolerable, and it's just so it just is really bad, right? So I'm not talking about being that kind of glue, right? We are not talking about that kind of glue, but glue itself, right? If the natural form, there's nothing wrong with it. It's meant to be good. It depends on the purpose. There's a purpose to what a glue is supposed to do. But if you use it on the wrong way, it becomes the bad kind of glue. So what is the good kind of glue, right? The good kind, right? There's only one definition. For me, there's only one definition, right? The good kind of glue is actually the kind that is meant for its original purpose, which is to hold things or hold people together, right? That is the real purpose of being a glue, right? And what I meant by, so when I say that the good kind of glue-like person, right? This is what I mean. Are you someone who keep things together, right? Are you someone who you are the one who initiate everything, and you hold the team together, you hold the relationship together, right? Let's dive right a bit more into this, right? There are four types of glue, right? Okay, actually, when I did my research, right, there are 16 types of glue. But the thing is that we are going to go focus on four types only, right? So let's talk about the first type. Okay, the first type of glue is the craft glue, right? And this craft glue is the most common kind of glue, whereby when you talk about stationery, when you talk about papers, you talk about art and craft. This is something that we are so familiar with growing up. Something that we just use. It's just something in the stationery shop, which we are always so familiar with, right? Okay, so this is the kind of the most common type of glue. So when we talk about it in terms of people, right? It is the kind whereby we send a text, we send a phone, we make a phone call, we initiate a mail, or we follow someone on social media, we comment on it. So this kind of glue, right, is a very what I call the BCF, the most basic, the most common, and the most familiar. This is the kind whereby we will keep our day-to-day relationship with others by doing all these things, right? Very simple and straightforward. Now, the type 2 of glue is this, right? It's called wood glue, right? For wood glue, right, is okay, as you can tell from the name, right? Wood glue is something in the natural form. The term wood glue refers to any type of adhesive, right, that is used to bond together pieces of wood and wooden surfaces together, right? And it takes a bit harder. You can imagine the material is harder. So with that, right, it's actually harder to get the glue to stick together. And there are different types of wood glues are intended for different applications depending on the quality of wood and the purpose of the wooden object itself, right? But all in all, right, the wood glue must have some of the following properties. So firstly, it must be high strength, right? It must be resistant to moisture and humidity and damp conditions. Okay, and must have good gap filling ability, right? It must set very thinly without leaving any gaps between two wood surfaces, right? So otherwise, can you imagine, you put your two wood together, your furniture, you see like a gap in between, it's really ugly, and it won't stay together, right? It won't stay together. That is the key thing that I'm going to touch on later on. But typically, right, for wood glue, it takes a long setting time, right? Meaning that it will typically take like a couple of hours or even days to dry completely. And during this time, right, you may have to keep the pieces pressed firmly together to achieve the proper adhesiveness, right? And of course, needless to say, wood glue is a must-have for every carpenter and people who involved in woodwork, right? So how is it translated into our daily workplace or family place in that sense? Now, sometimes this is a very special wood, this, let me see, okay, right? Because the glue itself, right, takes a long setting time, you need a certain amount of patience. Now, when we deal with people, there are a group of people, right? They tend to be less responsive, less expressive. Okay, so when you show concern with them, ask them if you want to have dinner, and you want to just want to then connect with them, get to know them a bit longer. But you find that this group of this particular group of people, they tend to be a bit more reserved. So you call them the wooden face, right? That you really cannot tell how are they feeling, because they are just not responsive. They're not expressive at all. But we need to be very patient towards this kind of people if you want to connect with this kind of people. If there's someone at work or family that you want to connect with and they fall into this category, you really need a lot of patience. It doesn't mean that they are not responding to your concern. It doesn't mean that they are not appreciative of your what you are doing or whatsoever. It's just that they take a long time, just like the wood glue in the natural. They take a long time to set. They take a long time to see whether you are genuine. They take a long time to see whether how should they respond. Sometimes it's just a self-esteem thing. They may not have the confidence to know what to say or how to say. So they tend to be reserved, or but more on onlooker kind of thing. They take a very reserved kind of pace, whereby they just see what's going on first before they respond in a certain way. And even when they respond, right, sometimes it's just a trigger, just a little bit of hi, yes, maybe 2 words respond rather than 1 word. So if you are connecting with someone like that, right, don't be discouraged by the lack of response. They really, really take a long time, and you just need to keep going and try different methods, right? But I know for this kind of people, right, I have come across a lot of people, and one thing about people who are a little bit more conservative or reserved, right, sometimes they have the most compassionate heart, and sometimes what happens is that when they also have a very tender heart. So they are very scared to open up to anybody or connect with anybody. So what happens is that when they do open up, when they do, start trusting you, start confiding in you, you'll find that they are actually very loyal friends. They are very loyal teammates, and they will stick by you, stay with you, no matter through thick and thin, and no matter what happens, they will always be there for you. They are the kind that is quietly supporting you. So if you find someone around you that belongs to this category, right, cherish them, right? Just use different kind of methods. You can, some of them is they like drinks, they like desserts. Find out what they like, and they just or what food they like, or what sports they like, and start talking about this. You may even can just ask them, once you find out what they like, right? You can start asking them, hey, even if it's a subject matter that you don't really quite understand. For example, they like so for example they like golf, right? And you are not really a golf fan. I am not a golf fan. So you can actually start asking them, hey, why don't you tell me more about this golf thing? How to play? What's so interesting about it? And what makes you start to go into golf, right? And when you start asking them what are they passionate about, they start to open up, right? And they will, because it's something that they're passionate about, so it's easier for them to talk about something they like, right? So this is how you connect to someone who's a little bit more wooden, okay? And I meant it respectfully, right? So you just need to take a little bit more patience if you are trying to connect with someone like that, right? And so we go on to type 3. Okay, type 3 is the super glue, right? And super glue is something that we all very, very familiar with. And super glue seems to know everything. They can do wonders. They can do everything, right? Every time something broke, your shoe so broke, super glue. Your furniture broke, you super glue. This thing broke, you super glue, right? And super glue is meant to really join heavy materials, including, right, even the hardest materials and various materials. For example, ceramic, glass, wood, and very tough to join materials, even like leather, right? You can use super glue to glue them together, right? And for super glue, right, is so there are different, again, within super glue itself, there are different types, right? And there's something about super glue here, right? Super glue is like if you are a super glue kind of person, you are fantastic. I take my hat off you. You are the kind that holds the whole family together, the kind to hold the whole team together, right? You are the great influencer. You are the great, you are the core of everything. And sometimes people don't go to an event because you are there. You are the one who holds things together. Without you, everything, right? Almost everything falls apart, right? So one example I want to share is mothers, right? One example will be mothers, because mothers are just so amazing. Okay, I know some fathers as well, right? So let's just stick to mothers for now. For mothers, they are multitask, right? And especially with kids. I have friends who are mothers and have like 2 kids. I have friends who are like 4 kids, right? And I don't know how they manage their time, how they manage their task, and they can just do things so efficiently, so effectively, and so beautifully, right? And they are the ones, right, who hold the whole family together wherever there's an outing, or just coming back for dinner. They are the one who, when the mothers are there, they are the ones that all the other siblings, or the daughters and sons, all the children will come together because mothers are there, right, to hold the whole family together. And sometimes some people are not mothers, but another group of people, right, that I think they fall into this category of super glue that holds everything together, is someone who can cook very well. Have you ever noticed, like, if someone cook very well and they are also very hospitable, right? If they cook very well, they tend to, like, we are just attracted by to food, right? You will tend to like attract people, and this the whole event become very different, and without that person, it's really hard. I remember there's a few events when social gathering whereby I have a few of them, right? Yes, such good cooks, and really they can really qualify for chefs, right? So what happens is that they really, wherever there's a cook, there's a gathering, and even if we don't have a gathering, when they want to cook something and they want to share their food, there's a gathering, right? They are the kind that what another one who will hold the group together, right? And some people, they cannot cook, but they are very hospitable, and they are so hospitable. They open their house, and they are always hosting people and all that. They are the kind that help to hold the people, the team together, the relationship together as well. Because after all, right, if you have a place to go to, you can, especially a home. I remember recently, I just have a gathering with some of my friends who I've known for more than 30 years. That sounds so old, right? But I always find that it's a blessing to have friendships that are 30 years of age, right? So we know each other for 30 years now, and it's such a privilege to know them. And we have we just, when we were gathering, we were thinking where to go, where to meet, and all those things. And one of them was saying that, why don't you come to my house? And then we just like have a potluck kind of thing. Everyone brings a dish and all that, and then in the comfort of our home, we can just chat and stay as long as we want. And with this pandemic going on, there's a limitation to what the restaurants, how many people can be at the table, and how long you can stay. If you stay for too long, right, you have people looking at you and like it's time to go. You have the restaurant service is trying to hint to you, excuse me, we have a long queue outside. It's very uncomfortable. And then you have to adjourn to another place for dessert and all. So, but whenever we come to this friend's house, it's her house. We can stay as long as we want. And, it's thanks to her, right? We every now and then we will go to her house for gathering. We can be at ease, we can just we can talk everything under the sun and all. And you know what? That little gesture helps to keep our friendship together for the past 30 years, right? So that's in the context of family and friends. But what about work, right? So I have to mention this particular occupation, right? Project manager, right? If you are a project manager, you definitely need to be a type of super glue, right? If Because you need to be like an octopus, you need to multitask, you need to make sure everything happens, at the what everybody is doing what they are supposed to do and hand in whenever the deadline. You have to take care of this supplier, you have to take care of that vendors and that customers and your teammates and all. Oh my goodness, you really need to be a super glue to glue together, right? To glue the whole thing, the whole project together. Otherwise, you will find that by the deadline, you'll find firstly you cannot finish your project. Secondly, you will find that everything falls apart, right? And sometimes it can be a very, very adverse effect at the end, right? And also, if you are a project manager and you're thinking, oh no, I'm not a super glue type of material, right? I can't multitask and I can't look at so many things, and I'm not a detailed person, but somehow you're being tasked to be the project manager. Then make sure your number two is a project manager, is a super glue kind, right? The kind that can follow through, the kind that is very detailed, the kind that is very organized, and you can keep the whole team together at the same time, right? Knowing that what are the concerns of each member as well, what are the concerns of the stakeholders as well. So these are all a lot of things to look at in that sense. So if you have that skills to be a super glue, right? If you think that you are a super glue, right? You are the star of the team. You are the core of the team, right? Put super glue in the chat box. And if you are not, but you have one in your team, please, right? Even if they are not, whether they are number two or just a normal team member, cherish them, because it's really, really very hard to come by. It's a talent for all of them, for this group of particular people. And that's one thing I want to highlight in terms of this is that okay, before I go on to highlight, okay, so another group of people, right? Before I go on to the next point, besides project manager, another common example is also exco committee chairman. You also need this, right? So you also need to have a super glue in your team as well, yeah. And if you are the other one that you need to take note of is also, if you are a team leader of any form, right? You better be you can learn to be a super glue and learn from someone else to have the ability to join everyone together. So that's what I'm trying to say when I mentioned that someone is a super glue, right? Now, for super glue, if you are a super glue or someone else is a super glue in your team, right? The kind, right, that holds everything together. Just take note of this, right? Just like super glue, one of the important properties of super glue is that they dry very fast, which also means in terms of human behavior, right? Super glue tend to burn out super fast as well, right? Because you're so eager to help, you're so eager to support, you're so eager to serve. So you will go like, okay, this is I'll do. Then you go around, sometimes you overcommit, right? And you burn out and you find that, why am I doing so many things? And by the time you realize that you overcommit, it's too late, right? You come back up halfway through the project, right? And you find that on one hand, you can't withdraw from the project because you're already halfway through, but at the same time, you can't move forward because you're just so burnt out, you're just so tired, and you just can't move on anymore, right? So you just need to take note of that. Now, I used to be one of them as well, and I really, and it caused me so much frustration. So I learned to have a book of boundaries, right? As you know, so I learned this principle from actually on a dieting plan, right? So when for those who have ever gone on a diet before, there are many different diets, right? So one of the dieting hacks, right, tip is like, don't eat until you're so full that you stop, right? You eat about 80% full, right? Okay, so what I do is that in terms of committing to projects and helping people, supporting people, right? I tell myself I can only support up to 80% of my time, because very often, right, it's about the time management, right? So there's a 7 days in a week, so 80% is actually 5.6 days, right? 80%, 7 days, right? So that's 5.6 days. So and the rest of the 1.4 days, right, is I always reserve for my me time. So 1.4 days, like 1.5 days, right? So Sunday is my rest day, and I do whatever I need to do to relax, go to church and things like that. And somewhere the half day were usually in the middle of the week, like Wednesday or Thursday, because I find that middle of the week is somewhere I really need a little bit of break in between. It's like F1 formula, right? You need a little bit of pit stop. So some people like to have it on the weekend, like 1.5 day over the weekend, me time, don't disturb me, that kind. I used to do that, but I find that later on, I find that it's actually better for me to have the half day break in the middle of the week. So I will block out my Sunday and Wednesday half day as my me time, right? So the rest of the time I can commit to either my business, my work, my friends, and helping people or anything, right? I can maximize them, no problem. But as soon as I realize if I cannot if I cannot have the workload into those 5.5 days, and it overspilled into my 1.5 days me time, I know I have overcommitted, right? And that's where I start to, and that's actually made me even improve to fine tune this hack even more. Is that I actually, before I even commit, I look at the time available, and I knew that okay, if I commit to this project, I will know that it was overspilled into my me time. No, I can't. Even as much as I want to help, I will just learn to say. I've learned how to say no, and I will just say no to the person. And at best, if you still feel bad, right? So what I do is that I'll just refer someone else who can help them better. And really learn to say no is really a good thing to do, a good skill, an important skill to learn, because if you cannot commit to them all the way, and or halfway through you feel burned out, you are doing them a disservice, because you can't commit all the way. Someone else can serve them better. I learned to let the others who can serve them better to have that opportunity, instead of holding the opportunity myself. So if you are the super glue kind, just take note. You might just get burned out quite easily and super fast as well, right? So make sure you have enough me time and learn to say no. Okay, right? Let's go to type number 4. Type number 4 is a very, very special glue. Okay, it's the fabric glue, right? Why fabric glue? And okay, so most of the glue in the natural form, right, they will not hold together 2 or more pieces of fabric, right? So fabric glue is actually has its own special properties. I won't go into the technical side, but it's used to repair worn out upholstery, or mending your pawn jeans, and things like that. So anything that is related to fabric, right? Some are ready to use, some are a little bit of work. But regardless, right, fabric glue is a special kind of glue, right? Okay, and in terms of human, and how is that related to in terms of people relationships, people skills? Fabrics in this case, I would say it represents the tender hearts of other people, right? Okay, so this most special, right? Fabric represents the tender hearts of other people, right? And you need to, this is the most high, in a way, the highest level of being a people connector, right? So when the basic thing that when you talk about being a fabric glue is that recognize that you are talking to another human, you are another person, right? They have feelings just like you do. They also feel happy. They also feel angry. They also want to be respected as a human, as a person, just like you do, right? And in this case, right, I will how do I because I mentioned that it's actually tender heart for people. I do speak to the heart, and I address their concerns, right? And in Chinese, right, it's called 将心比心, okay? And in the translation would be put yourself in their shoes, and or it's empathy, right? You walk a mile, you never understand, most of you have heard the saying, right? You never understand what a person feels like unless you have walked a mile in that person's shoes. It is so, so true, right? And this is actually a very important skill, and it is actually the skill that I believe that helped me to win the award by Marketing Institute of Singapore for being a people connector in the entrepreneurial category, right? Because how I apply this principle is actually when I talk to people, I actually talk to their heart, right? I will see what they are really, really troubled by, what is their real problem. I go to their root problem, what are their concerns, and sometimes people don't really tell you, right? You need to. It's a bit of experience, but you really need to step out and just really listen to what is being said, and as well as what is not being said, right? And when you see that you're treating somebody else, you are actually not dealing just with work. Some people, when you are, maybe you're doing a sales pitch, right? Some of you, maybe you are doing a proposal to your boss, right? You are not just, the basic level is you are dealing with things, right? This is a task, I need to do this and all that. But if you are looking at a bit beyond that, right, if you talk to that person's heart, right, when you do your sales pitch, what is that the other person's concern, right? If they are not just buying your product or your services, they are actually buying to solve a problem. They also have their own concerns, in the sense that, is this going to solve my problem? Is this going to be a waste of time or money? Is this going to make me look bad in front of my boss, right? Am I going to look like a fool if it doesn't work out, right? So all these are actually something in the heart. So just recognize, be aware that, at the end of the day, if you're going to deal with people, just feel like a transaction basis, you're not going to go very far, right? And you're not going to go very deep. But if you're going to talk to the heart, some say, right, the heart, you talk to the heart because the heart is nearer to the wallet, right? Okay, that's a joke. But then the thing is that, but to me is that when I talk to people, I always talk to the heart, right? I want to see what they are concerned with, what are their nightmares, what are their dreams, and then what are their concerns. And, once I can get a sense of it, right, then I will actually address that. So sometimes, even when I do a sales pitch to somebody, I will just, before I even talk about what is the actual thing, sometimes I will just find out what's going on first, right? And every human, if you really is being sincere with people, at some point they will feel your sincerity, and they will actually open up and share a little bit of what's going on, right? And that's when you really can see what is the real problem that they are trying to resolve. And with that, then you can propose, then you can see, right, this is my product, this is my services, this is how my product or services can resolve your problem. And for me, if my solution really cannot solve their problems, I actually won't sell them. I will just, I will just be honest and say, I can't solve your problem with my product or services, but I know someone else who might be able to, right? I don't force it down their throat, because, like I mentioned, right? But, 将心比心, right? I don't like people to force things down my throat. I don't think any one of you like to, right? And it's a very distasteful kind of dealing with people, and even at work, even when doing sales, right? So the fact that I take a step back, and instead of selling them something, I take a step back and say, look, I can't sell you. I know my solution is useless to you. I will be doing you a disservice if I try to convince you to buy my services, right? And they actually appreciate that. They actually respect me even more, and they actually they even more. I have clients who find all opportunities to just want to buy, engage my services. But the thing is that you're not, either they are not ready, or it's really not the solution right for them and all. But we stay as friends, and we stay connected, and our connection with each other is even more deep, is deeper than if we will just force them to buy from me, right? So I just want to share this with you, because this is really, if you can achieve this, you learn how to do this. It's not going to happen overnight, right? It didn't happen to be overnight. I started off with being a wood as well. It's really hard for me to connect with people. It's really hard for me, and because I'm also a very direct person, all my likes and dislikes are all displayed on the face, and you can tell whether I'm happy or angry. I'm the kind, right, which is good in the sense that I and what you see is what you get. But the thing is that sometimes it's also very hard because it's very hard to do the connection as well. But the thing is that I have to learn how to connect with people on a deeper level. And the moment I realize that I'm dealing with somebody else's heart, okay, then things start to change. It's things I am not so rough, I am not so direct. I am still in a way straightforward, but I don't hurt people in that sense. So, I will tend to be a bit more diplomatic. And very soon, I also find different ways, different methods of expressing myself, of making an opinion. There are different ways of communicating my opinion over as well. And you know what? It's actually more effective and more efficient as well. So this is a very highest form of kind of glue of connecting with people. I really sincerely hope everyone can, aim for this, and you want to you aware of this, right? You will find that everything else will fall into place, right? And at the same time, of course, another point I want to mention about this is that at the same time, sometimes people may not open their heart so quickly. We are all very defensive, right? We are all tend to be more cautious and that. So don't worry about that when people are not going to open their hearts the first time they see you, right? Just like you won't open your heart to strangers. You pour your hearts out, you tell them your darkest secrets and all. You won't do that. So it takes time to do that. So at the same time, once you achieve this, right, you also be careful and guard your heart as well, right? So what I'm saying is that sometimes you would really need to be vulnerable, open your heart, but you also be careful on who you open your heart to. So so that you be wise and you just know when and who to open your heart to at the same time. So be careful on that because sometimes when you reach this level, you're so good at connecting with people now, right? You tend to open your heart very, very, very easily as well because to you it's like you're very grounded by now. But just be careful of that as well. So all in all, in summary, right, I want to share about this is that if you can really like fabric glue, like the first point here is the most special because they can do what other glues cannot do. If you can aim for this is really the best kind of deeper connection whereby people will really, if you are running a business, you can really create raving fans with this. And if you are in terms of friendship, families, you will have really a very in-depth and meaningful relationship with many people around you as well, right? In terms of work, you will find that you just get things easier as well, and you get things done quicker and easier as well because you just know how to talk to people, right? So just be aware of this and just aim for it, and through experience, right, you will be able to achieve that, right? Okay, so I hope you have learned something today, right? So if you have learned something today, right, just put in the chat box what is it that you have learned, right? The 4 different kinds of glue, right? So the 4 different kinds of connection, I should say, that glue that you can how you can stay with people. So remember, the first one is the craft glue, whereby the common things where you can stay in connection with people, like a text, a phone call, initiate a dinner. And the second kind of glue is the wood glue. Remember, if you are dealing with people who are a bit more wooden, that takes a little bit more longer to respond, or they are not very expressive. Be patient, okay? Be patient and don't be discouraged by the lack of responsiveness. Know that deep down inside they are responding, right? They really appreciate you connecting with them. And then if you are the super glue where you hold everyone together, hold everything together, right? Wow, congratulations, because this is a talent, it's a skill, right? So in a way, keep it up, and you also groom someone to have have that kind of skill if they want to. And if you don't have it, right, if you have your number 2 as a super glue, congratulations. Or any of your team members has this ability and this skill, congratulations. cherish them, right? And take note that you don't burn out so quickly, right? And the last one, of course, the fabric glue, whereby you connect on a very deep level, and you connect people, you do what other glue cannot do, remember? And you connect people by talking to their heart. You know that with every human being that you come in contact with, there's a tender heart beneath the hardened surface or whatsoever. So just take note, and you will handle it with really handle with care, right? So stay connected with me. We have our Facebook page on Daily People Skills, and we have on YouTube as well, right? So a lot of people, when you talk about people skills, right? A lot of people at this point of time, they are very concerned with or without COVID. A lot of people are very concerned about losing their job to technology or artificial intelligence. And I can share with you, people skills is the number one skills that will not be overtaken by technology or AI, because no matter what, you still need people skills. And this pandemic has shown, right, we need people connection even more so than ever. We are human beings. We are just created to be social animals, and we just need that connection, right? No amount of technology can replace that human touch, right? So despite all the online Zoom or whatever connection you can do, we still crave for the dining in, the sit down dinners with each other. We feel so sad we cannot visit our families and all, right? So I personally really firmly believe that people skills is an evergreen skills which everyone needs to learn how to deal with it. And you can tell me, you're dealing with machines, you're dealing with software, you're dealing with numbers, you don't deal with people. I need to gently correct you that behind whatever business or whatever industry, whatever equipment or whatever machine you are dealing with, right, is you are in the people business. So you are always dealing with people, no matter what. It's just directly or indirectly. And even if you are indirectly, you still need to deal with people, right? So don't run away from the subject. Just learn one thing at a time. Be 1% better than yesterday, and you get there. Your improvement is not going to be overnight, but it's going to be incremental. So always remember, I live by the principle of I just need to be 1% better than yesterday, right? So I hope you learned something today, right? Stay tuned for our next video coming up soon. We share different people skills. If you have a question, a problem that that's been bugging you when dealing, how to deal with people at workplace, especially, right? Type the question in the chat box, or you can PM me if you're shy about it, and then we can answer it as much as possible, right? Okay, so I'm going to end here, right? Have a good evening. I'll see you soon. Bye.